Listen, I'm just going to say it. 2 months ago, I almost died. I was in a horrifying, very serious car accident. If I showed you the pictures, you would understand. Actually, let me just show you the pictures. So you see that? That is massive fence post slash tree trunk that came through my windshield and exited out the back window. And it was absolutely terrifying. And I am so lucky that I came out okay. The only thing that happened to me was I had slivers on the side of my head and glass in my scalp from that post going past my face. So that just tells you how close it is. I had scratches on the side of my head from the post. If it had been 1 inch the other direction, I wouldn't be sitting here. And that's the first miracle. The second miracle was I'd actually been at the hairdresser that day with my three youngest children, and my teenager was getting box braids, and it took 5 hours. And by the time she was finished, she just wanted to go. She was looking fabulous. She wanted to go. And so she called her boyfriend to come pick her up at the salon. Meanwhile, I had the two other kids who still needed to get their hair braided. So we're getting hair braided. We left. There's only two kids in the car, which meant that my oldest son, who's 12, sat in the front seat, and the youngest one, who's 9, sat behind him. If Lola, my 17-year-old, had been in the car, she would have been in the front. The two kids would have been in the back. Somebody would have been behind me. So that's the second miracle. There was only two kids in the car, which meant there was no one behind me when that post went through the back seat and the back seat went out. So two massive miracles. And I was obviously pretty shaken up. My car was totaled, all the administration that goes with a totaled car and insurance. But here's what happened that night. That night, I was up all night, not crying exactly, but in a really bad place. And I just kept replaying the accident in my head. I was replaying turning off the highway to take the farm road. Normally I just take the highway. So I was replaying every choice. Like, why did I get off the highway? Why did I take that road? And then when things went awry on the road, why did I steer in that direction? Why, when I hit the fence, didn't I steer in the other direction? Like, just every single thing. I made every wrong decision, it seemed to me, in the 1.5 seconds that it took for that to happen. Made every wrong decision. And so I was up all night thinking, like, I'm not like Jason Bourne. I didn't make the right decisions under duress. And, I think of myself as a very cool-headed person, and I don't panic. And that accident completely undermined my identity, who I thought I was. And I kept saying, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not Jason Bourne. And my sister the next morning was like, Jason Bourne isn't Jason Bourne either. It's a film character. And the guys who are, in fact, special ops dudes are trained in emergency situations so that those things are reflexes. So you can't beat yourself up for making every wrong decision. So that helped in the morning. But in the middle of the night, in the wee hours of the night, in the 4 a.m. of the soul, I was really just turning the accident over and over again, every decision I made. And I realized at some point that what I was trying to do was time travel. I was trying to turn back time and do it over, and you can't. And that epiphany, when I suddenly let myself stop ruminating, that epiphany of, like, I can't go back in time, I can't redo it, has actually released something in me. We can't time travel. And there is just no point in turning things over and over and over again and blaming ourselves and recriminating and trying to do things differently in our imaginations. It can't be done. What we have to do is be in the moment, extract the lesson, extract the learning, and let it shape us, let it change us, let it sink into us. So that was a big epiphany for me. And I think since then, the 2 months since the accident, I really have stopped ruminating and been more present and been more in the moment and been more self-accepting and been more accepting of others too, like just a gentler person. So that is welcome. That's a silver lining to this horrifying accident. The other thing that happened for me was I was up all night and really in a state about how I almost left my children without a mother. Now, my oldest kids are living on their own or in university at a dorm or 17 and about to graduate. And so there's a way in which I wasn't that focused in the midst of the swirl on them, because I felt like I have brought them to a point where they are sufficient, self-sufficient. They are fully formed and making their way successfully in the world. But Not to say they wouldn't be traumatized if they lost their mother. Obviously, they would be. But I just felt like they're fully formed. They will be okay. I have set them up. They have what they need. But the two youngest, who are 12 and 9, I was just in a state, I just kept thinking about them, about how they almost didn't have a mother to shepherd them through to adulthood, and what that would have done to them to lose a mother at this tender age. And I also was upset with myself because I almost killed myself with all those bad reflexive decisions, steering in the wrong direction, all the things, the panic. I almost ended my life, and I am not finished. So those things were useful in the sense of, like, I understood what was important, and that has shaped me going forward. So all I was thinking in that night was, I was thinking about my children, I was thinking about my parents, I was thinking about my sister, I was thinking about my partner, I was thinking about myself. All I was thinking about was my relationships and the people I loved the whole night. That and beating myself up for turning in the wrong direction. But let's leave that aside. That is all I was thinking about. And so the next day, in the middle of the day, when I was a little more clear-headed and not in a 4 a.m. of the soul, I realized something really important. Not once in that night, when I was grappling with my own mortality, did I think about my book. And I'm glad I wrote a book, and I'm glad it's on my agent's desk now. And I'm glad we're talking about it next week and figuring out who we're going to shop it to. I'm glad all of those things are happening. Not once did I think about my business, this incredible business that I have built over the last 15 years that took me out of poverty into a place where I can pay my children's university tuition. That is a massive accomplishment. So not once did I think about that. Not once did I think about all the courses I want to do and the website I want to update and the things I want to write. I didn't think about any of those things. Honestly, I didn't even think about you, my clients. I just thought about my children and my relationships. And that has been like a liberation. So I'm still a super ambitious person, but I'm putting it in its proper place. I would say for the last 15 years while I've been building this business, that has been all-consuming, single-minded focus at the expense of my emotional availability for the people in my life, and honestly, my own well-being. So since this accident, I have been religiously focused on taking care of myself. Long, luxurious teeth brushing rituals, skincare. What am I putting into my body? What toxins are in that food? No, I want organic, like all the things, just religiously focused on these things and on feeling good, on massages. And I mean, it sounds so indulgent, but like, I really want to feel good in my own skin. And I have sacrificed everything to build this business. And thank God I did. Like, thank God I did. It brought us out of poverty and has given us a different life. That is so important. I am able to do things for my children that would not have been possible, or even for myself. So I'm really proud of what I have accomplished. And 15 years ago, if I'd looked forward to where I am today, I would have just been overwhelmed. Like, I have gotten everything I want, or I'm on the precipice. When the book comes out, then I'll have everything I want. But I'm on the precipice. So I'm so glad for those accomplishments and what I have achieved. And there's just been this awakening in my soul of, I just want love. I just want to cultivate my spiritual well-being, my physical well-being. I want to enjoy this life that I've worked so hard to create. I want to feel good in my own skin. I want to be healthy, all of those things. And so that has been a liberation, a total liberation. And there were a lot of changes I was about to make in my business anyway. I was moving forward, but this accident has sort of accelerated the time frame. So I love the work that I've created. I've loved working with people and helping them build financial capacity and successful businesses and doing work that matters wrapped around their principles so they can be culture makers in the world and in their lives. I love that work. And there's work that I want to do that's just a fraction of that. So I don't necessarily want to work on our self-promotion strategies or our course strategies or money making. I love all that stuff and it's really important, but the stuff that really lights me up is, what is our body of work? How do we become culture makers and formalize this body of work that we're doing, this mastery that's in us, bring it forward in the world and let it touch the world? Let it touch people, let it shape people, let us influence this world that we live in, this culture that we've inherited, let us shape it back. That's what I'm super interested in. So my favorite course is Surface Your Methodology, which is about, what is your methodology? How are you doing the work that you're doing? What is the work that you're doing? Let us build a language for it. Let's build a model for it. That's my very favorite course. So I want to do that. And then I want to build on that with this formula that I have for building out your body of work that I've taught people in other courses for many years. I just want to do that. Those are the things I want to do. So I'm going to separate that methodology out, that framework for building out your body of work. And what I'm going to offer is surface your methodology and this new course that runs you through the formula for building out that body of work and building out the lexicon that goes with that body of work. Because a lot of times the problem we have is hypocognition. We're doing things for which language doesn't yet exist. So we have to develop that language. So that's what I want to do. I want to do the foundational work of putting our culture making work out there. That's what I want to focus on, your intellectual property, your meaningful work in the world. And then what does it take us as culture makers to steward that work? There is some unlearning we have to do of the playing small, of the accommodating the biases against our identity. There's some unlearning we have to do. And then there's some skill development we have to do in terms of taking up more space, advocating for our work, advocating for ourselves. That's part of being a culture maker. And there's even the stewarding of our reputations and not taking unnecessary hits. So that's the work I want to be doing. So my social media courses, my copywriting courses, my business development courses, those are going to get retired. I'm proud of that body of work, but it is time for me to move on into the next phase of my body of work. This second course that I'm thinking of around the formula for building it out, I want to call it something like métier or acclaim. You know, it's about claiming your work. It's about developing your excellence and your craft. And this process I have will help people do it. It has helped people build out these, arcades and domes in the air, to paraphrase Virginia Woolf. That's the work I want to be doing. And I want to be working with you, with the culture makers, in getting your amazing work out into the world, your jaw-dropping insights, your really profound points of view and your distinctions and the ways that you can influence the people in our circles and around us so that we can live into a future in which we all flourish. So that's what I want to do. And I'm newly on fire to do that. So I was going to work on that anyways, but now I'm just like, I can't wait. Let's just do this thing. And then there's the other epiphany that's come out of this near-death experience. Time is my friend. You would think that after this experience, I'd be like, I gotta rush. I gotta do everything. What if I die tomorrow? That's not exactly my feeling at all. What I feel now is this lightness of spirit and this feeling of like, it wasn't my time. It is a total miracle that I walked out of that car. You just saw it. It's a miracle we walked out of that car. And what that means to me is, yes, we are fragile, right? That's the existential condition of humans. We are fragile. And I'm probably not going to die tomorrow. That was not my time. I probably have another 40 years, maybe even 50 years ahead of me. That's a good amount of time. I have time. Time is my friend. And so I'm going to work with time to create this beautiful life and this beautiful body of work and help other people bring their beautiful bodies of work into the world. And what I'm trying to say is the urgency I used to have, this feeling of like ambition and urgency has just dissipated. Now I have the ambition and the desire without the urgency. I feel time is my friend. I'm going to work with time and I'm going to make these beautiful pieces of work. And I'm not going to waste my time doing things that are finished. I'm just finished with that chapter. I'm moving on to something I was already doing, and I'm just going to focus entirely on that. So those are my epiphanies. That's my experience. And I've been meaning to write you about this for 4 weeks and somehow just have not been able to write a Sunday love letter to tell you about it. So I thought, let me just record this video, give you a video Sunday love letter, and tell you what's going on in my world and why you're seeing the changes you're seeing. I think they're positive changes. I really feel amazing in my own life, in my skin. It's this lightness of spirit. Things are not bothering me the way they used to bother me. I'm not twisted up and anxious about the things I used to be anxious about. And I'm not even anxious about my own life. I'm just settled in and happy and want to make the most of it. And I want us to make the most of it. This is a miracle that we are here on this spinning ball and we can make the world we're dreaming of. So let's go do that.